this provoked a lot of people.
Obviously, you have hit the nerve.
I never lose, either I win or I learn.
From street fights in a small remote town 1,000 kilometers north of Stockholm to the highest ranks of Swedish banking. Meet Peter Dahlgren, who built his wealth from the scratch and became financially independent at 40. And now he is busy with creating value for the society.
If it's environment or it's biological, I don't give a shit.
Girls do that as well.
The value of tech is almost gone down to zero.
What was the turning point?
No, I realized it gets serious.
Hi, Peter. Nice to see you here.
Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Now, you know, many of our viewers would be curious to find out how to become financially independent at 40. So could you tell us, maybe, I know it's hard to explain, but maybe can you break it down into 5, let's say, major steps or milestones?
Work hard. No, but I think I'm telling people that I think you should figure out a way to create value for society. And then I don't mean do good non-profit. I mean creating productivity for society in some way or add value, and then figure out to build a business model around it, and then work very hard and be prepared to fail and learn and repeat, fail and learn until you're successful. So that is the simple answer. And the most important thing is that you keep on pushing it. The winner is just a loser who tried one more time.
Exactly.
So you would say the secret of your wealth is that you were always hardworking.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, exactly. I worked very hard, but I also tried to figure out how I could deliver value to any organization I have. Not only listen to what I'm told that I should do, thinking about how I could exceed expectations and try to do that always. Just thinking that I need to learn because knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I always found surprising of people who made it. That's that, to keep it short, just follow your passion. So, which is, in my view, not enough. You should be good in something at least, and you found your route to success in industries that are thriving, like AI, blockchain, etc.
Yeah.
How come?
First of all, I actually tell people, don't follow your passion.
Thank you.
because I think your passion is not always adding value to anybody else than yourself. I think they should, if you want to be really successful, you should know what you're good at. And then, as I said, try to find a way to deliver value. And then we are living in these times with AI and blockchain and other technologies. It's just a revolution. It's the biggest value creation wave in the history of mankind. It had never been a period of value creation for productivity in society as this. People with a long, economists with long perspective tell me, yeah, but electrification and railways were also big changes. Yeah, but over a much longer period of time. What we experience now is explosion of value creation. Mm-hmm. So for a young person now, it's the best time to try to add value for the society, to add value on top of these technologies, which is just changing everything. And in times of change, there are a lot of opportunities if you know what you're doing.
But you have been a very early adopter of AI, just as an example, whereby most of the people that are not into machine learning or large language models could barely spell ChatGPT some 3 years ago.
Yeah. I started actually using these technologies in my CEO jobs and my bank director jobs, or what you call it, executive jobs. Trying to add efficiency in my organizations, and that is like 15 years ago or something. And then I experimented with it and failed some and had some success about it. And then 10 years ago, I decided to sell all the tech companies I had, my portfolio, and invest solely into this revolution. So I've been investing, not only with the capital, with my whole wealth since 2016 in AI and blockchain and cybersecurity. That's what I'm doing, and I do it in a balanced approach. But fundamentally, the biggest value creation in my portfolio is AI, and has been for 10 years.
But you just said that it's great time now for young people to start their business because it's easy or more simple than before. What would you advise them? What first steps should people do, young people?
Yeah, first of all, I witnessed that young people, the young generation, on average, is not prepared to work as hard as older generation, which is a negative. But on the other hand, if you are one of the ones who do, have never been easier to win. It's never been easier to win, because if you are prepared to do the heavy lifting, you are already exceeding most of people in your generation. So it's actually, I actually think it's easier than ever. And on top of it, I think that these technologies, the last 30 years, the tech guy, it has been a guy, has been the king, mostly. There are a few exceptions, but mostly guys.
Yeah.
Tech guys have been the king, because the actual knowledge about the tech has been where you created the value. So the ones who have been the most successful is the ones who have mastered that skill. That has completely changed now. The value of tech is almost gone down to zero. You hear what I'm saying? The value of tech knowledge is almost gone down to zero. Not really zero, but very, very much lower than before. Because anybody can build any system with Lovable or Claude or something. So the domain knowledge is the new competitive edge.
So you should be professional in what you're doing. And
that means that it's more equal spread in the society. I think it's much easier now for I witness also that in society, very little part of the venture capital goes to female founders.
Yeah,
I've seen numbers at 1%. I don't know what the number is, but it's very low. Yeah. And I think that changed now, because since domain knowledge becomes more important, and the actual tech competence is a commodity, is actually done by technologies in itself, then it's much easier to build businesses. So I'm very positive for the future, and the humanity needs more entrepreneurs who create on top of these new technologies.
You're very visible, at least for me on LinkedIn, TikTok for me not so much.
For you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's way too kind, and I could see that you have, you put your money where your mouth is, to invest in a female startup. And it reminds me of a conversation with Rita Knott. That's one of our earlier, very rare female guests so far, that said that also very little money goes to female ventures, but the chances of success are surprisingly higher sometimes than their, I wouldn't say male rivals, but their male counterparts.
Yeah, so basically, whereas it is proven that female founders are more successful than men, it's still investors tend not to invest that much in female founders. So there's bias in place.
Yeah, the society is like that. But it's all sorts of reasons, I guess. I'm not an expert in this, and I just witness the world how it is, and I maneuver it, and I just position myself into it, and I compete in it, and see to it that I'm competitive with knowledge, and so that's what I do. I'm not trying to change the world. If I would have been a politician, but I'm not.
You believe politicians can change the world?
Yeah, that's from that position they can. That's the most obvious position you change the world from. If you want to do that, but I'm not. I'm just want to optimize the opportunity set I have, and create value for my family and people around me who are dependent on me, like colleagues and my companies and clients and all of that. I'm very focused on meritocracy. I'm not a woke guy. I don't do ESG at all. For me, sustainability is high. I'm a capitalist, so high returns for a long period of time. That's sustainability for me, nothing else. And long period of time, I mean over generations.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I'm do a very easy job. I make it very easy for me. And but since I'm very focused on pure meritocracy, I actually end up in quite a more balanced portfolio. I just happened to calculate that the other week since I was on this Women in Business event. I don't think in these terms. I just calculated in my head because it was interesting because it was female founders and stuff. And then I realized that I have 18 strategic investments and 4 funds. All these strategic investment on my balance sheet, 7 of them is female-led, which is almost within the 40, 60, and that's just coincidence.
Okay.
So for some reason, I don't seem to be as exclusive, on the as the market is as such. I don't know why, because I don't think in these terms. I also observe that is a fact.
That's very refreshing. I just had last week a lunch with 2 female leaders in the financial sector in Luxembourg, where we said, forget about the gender part. It's purely merits-based approach. So if you're good in something, you should get the money.
Yeah, that's the way I view it. I don't think the females lead founders is better than male, but I don't think the opposite either. I think actually talent is equally spread by of the population. That's my point of view, and I don't think you have to be brilliant to be a successful founder. I think most people can be that if they just want it and expose themselves for knowledge and then are prepared to take some risks and work very hard. Everybody can be successful. That's my full belief, and I think, of course there's problems, people with problems, but if you take away maybe 10% with problems, then I think it goes for most people in society.
Let's come back to your personal story. So, of course, the start was not that easy. You were born and grew up in this small city, 1,000 kilometers north of Stockholm. But you said in our conversation that you always wanted to get out. What helped you to do that?
No, the thing is that I didn't see myself living a life there, because the environment was not positive at all. Actually, it was quite brutal and hard, and it's like poverty is not beautiful. It doesn't bring the best things out of people. So I think the environment was really negative and kind of pacifying. So I wanted to just get out of there because I didn't want to be defined as a person, by other people. So I just wanted to do my own thing and create a life for me and my sister and my family, which is more healthy and more something I want to live. And so I just have to do it. I had no choice. There was no choice for me, and I don't feel in a global context, it was not very hard, the life there. There's much, you are from Ukraine, for instance. I think Ukraine, that's a hard place to live. But also before the war, it's much harder place to live than I come from. So in a global context, it's not a very extreme environment. It's just a poor part of Sweden, basically, with some social, problems. So I just wanted to get out of there so I could create a life for me and my sister, which I have to take care of. I have no backup. I'm the backup, so I just had to do it. So it was not a choice. I just had to do it.
So you basically grew up too early. You needed to become grown up early.
Yeah. You can say that,
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way, but yeah, sure. I just had to. I didn't have time to travel the world. See, I just have to make myself a living. I just had to start competing, and I knew that the only sustainable competitiveness is knowledge. So I just have to learn. And then I don't mean just reading books, that too, of course, but also expose myself to stuff to
already back then.
Yeah. They're very, very, very deliberate to be competitive, because it's survival of the fittest.
Okay. But
And,
it's interesting. Where did you went? You went to library, to shop, to, I mean,
No, I studied in university, and as most people do. But
no, before the university, I mean, when you were a teenager, where did?
yeah, I just tried to learn, but first, my first period, it was actually when I was 16 or so when I started high school. I got on track. And before that, I was kind of I was not on a good track in life.
Okay.
So then I just said, this is not the way I want to be. Then I just had to
But what
steer.
was the turning point? What was the
No,
point?
I realized it gets serious, and I will get a life which I.
But you don't remember the actual situation. What changed you, basically?
Yeah, I remember the situation. It was coming to the end of the, I don't know what to call it, before high school. I don't know what to call it in English. And then I have to get into, education in high school, which is, more theoretical. And I was just playing around, so I had to start focusing. So I get the grades to get into these schools, and scientific kind of schools. And I did that, and then I started to just hammer it every day since then, basically. And that's yes, and then not stop learning, And then the real learning curve starts when I start my first job in the finance industry, in the trading environment, and there I just, my learning curve was enormous. The first 10 years was just enormous, and I worked extremely hard.
But in our prep call, you also mentioned that your town in the Arctic circle was not very progressive, you said. So it was also about not accepting the status quo of all your neighbors, more or less.
Yeah,
you want more from life than just accepting dispossession, as an example.
Yeah. I have the luxury. I have the luxury now that I never fitted in to my village, because
which creates tensions, no?
Yeah, of course. It's not, all social structures, everybody wants to drag you into the social structure. Yeah. Nobody wants somebody to raise above the social structure or do their own way. It's just the human reaction. And I met that all my whole life, because I refused to be dragged into social structures. So what I'm saying, I had the luxury that I didn't fit in, so now it's much easier for me than, because I trained the whole life to go my own path in life. When you're 10, it's not fun. When people try to, make you be something you don't want to be, and you stand up for yourself, and you're not a big guy when you're 10, in any way. But so then it's much harder than now. Now it's a natural way of being me, that I go my own path in life, and I have many people who follow me in that, and we have a fantastic environment when we do many good stuff and build fantastic companies and all of that. And I have a network, and I have an ecosystem of value creation. Not necessarily everybody working for me, but we're helping each other. It's a big ecosystem of value creation with positive people who are brilliant on different stuff. And but I also have people who just hate whatever I do, because I'm not as people expect me to be. And I'm fine with that.
Who are working with you, so people who are working with you hate you?
No, it's working with me. But other people, who don't know me, basically. Where, many people think different things about me, which is not positive. And I actually don't care.
It reminds me so much about our first guest.
Yeah, me too.
He said that if people, he didn't say hate, but envy you, which is, I think, maybe the milder expression for that. So envy you did something right.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just human beings that they want. Human beings have a tendency to want everybody to be in a social structure, and if you break out of that, you get tension, and if you're not used to it, it's not nice. But I am. So I don't really care about it. I try to be a good person and with people. I don't want to offend people. So, but I stand up for what I think and what I want to do. And if other people want to do something else, I'm good for them. But they can't make me to do what they want me to do. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Some people just confuse directness with discourtesy.
Yeah. Of course. I don't see why I shouldn't say what I think. There's, I don't see why people walk around in life and not saying what they think. I think it's waste.
Yeah.
I think you'll be much happier if you stand up for yourself. You don't have to do it in a impolite way or rude way, but stand up for what you think. Most people are, most people become more happy if you have a purpose in life and you stand up for what you think and not just following whatever your mother thinks or your cousin or your colleagues. Or I think more people should walk their own path in life, and they would be happier. Because most people who get burnt out and stuff is because they have pressure from everybody to do different things.
They play roles which are not true to themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And try to be good in everything. You can't be, you can be, everybody can live their life how they want, but I want to be exceptional in what I do. I can't really go up and go to work have never been able to go to work without thinking I'm going to be best in the world in what I'm doing. That's just the thing I have in my head. I'm not always doing that. Sometimes I suck, it sucks to suck, but over time, if you have that mentality, you become good. At least you become good, And so I have that idea. And then I want to be exceptionally in my field of work and all what I do. And that means that I just have to give up a lot of other things, because you can simply not be exceptional between 8 and 5 or 9 and 5 or whatever you work. It's not possible. If you have balance in life all the time, it's not possible to be exceptional. So it's a choice you have to do. This provokes a lot of people. I know that. When I say this, it provokes. People read in stuff that people say, but you have to sleep. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not going to sleep. But over periods in time, if you want to be exceptional at anything, you have to be prepared to be so focused on that. So other things just have to give away.
Yeah.
And if you have this feeling that you have to be good in everything, it's just not possible. So you just have to prioritize what's more important and what you can live with not being good at and so. And then team up with people who are better than you and those things. And as a whatever team in sports. And then you do it together. And it's much more fun on top of that if you win together than alone. You just have to do like at period of time.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how it is. And there is no way that you can be good at everything.
Yeah, women always think that they're good at multitasking, so they can...
Yeah, but that's why they break also.
Yes, that's true as well.
That's why they break also.
But I think it's also a very different way how girls and boys grew up, and also from the from the early ages when we lived just in caves, we had different...
I'm not talking about the reason why it is. Once again, I'm just observing the world. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just see the world as it is. And if it's environment or it's biological, I don't give a shit. I'm just seeing this is what's happening. This is what's happening, and because and then I just adjust to the world. And sometimes even when I had this shitty childhood, I never felt like a victim. I never do. It was just this is how the world is. I just have to find my way to compete, and then I did. So girls can do that too. It's a patriarchal.
Girls do that as well. Right?
Yeah. But if you don't think it's if you feel that it's unjust society, it is in many respects. But it is what it is.
You just mentioned that you have 10 commandments.
Yeah.
How you became successful. We are very curious.
No, I don't have them in my head. I have this lecture and I talk about them. There are some, at least some principles which I think is important for me, have been important for me when I become successful. And that's, we talked about, you can't have balance in life all the time. It's one of them. You choose yourself if you want to be a victim of circumstances or not. It's just a choice. And I choose never to be a victim. you will go through life and you will be ending up being hit in the face many times. And you just have to be aware that that will be the case. So it's things like that which is important, which I see over time, over life, that people handle in different ways. And so I try to help people to see what I have done to become successful.
We follow each other on LinkedIn and on Instagram, and I see you traveling to Malmö or Gothenburg, etc., to spread your gospel, and obviously your theaters or your hotel ballrooms are always crowded. So obviously you have hit the nerve.
Yeah, obviously. This was not my idea to tour around the country and talk about myself for 2 hours.
But obviously it's so interesting for many, right?
Yeah. I when I was asked to do it, I felt it a little bit, I was hesitant to do it because I felt that I don't feel that my life is very special. Actually, I don't do that. So I when I talk on stage, which I've done for 30 years, I do it a lot. I always talk about what I'm doing, the work I'm doing, the company I'm working for, or something like that. That's I think is the things I like to talk about. But then when I was asked to go there and say how I become successful, then I also have to talk about my background, where I come from. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You don't end up in the world just as a fighter. That's something you have to. Certain circumstances make you to either cave in or to fight. And for me, it's I've chosen not to be a victim, as I said. I've chosen always to try to be as competitive as possible and understand the world and see what it is, and not hope that I can hope that the world become perfect, but I don't think it will happen anytime soon. So then I just have to maneuver whatever it comes in my way in life.
Well, books are written about that kind of life story, and we know each other not for many years, but for around 1.5 years or so. And if I may say, the first moment I met you, after 10 or 15 minutes, I said, I've never met a strong person or a strong personality with an easy past. Right. And you directly open up. You said, in more or less literally, I come from a white trash background, or I'm a white trash kid. Yeah. And we are principally same age. I found that very inspiring. So I think it's great that you share that view.
Yeah, but I didn't really think before I start doing this that it was relevant. It's just a background. It is what it is. It is what it is. But if I'm going to talk about my story, then I can't just talk about the success part. I just have to put it in perspective. Yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And I wouldn't stand on a stage 2 hours and brag about myself. That arrogant I'm not.
Some leftover humbleness.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to introduce somehow unexpected perspective. A psychologist once told me that it's much easier to make a leap when you start from nothing than if you have already a comfortable life. Because basically you have nothing, and this is the only choice you have is to go out, to do you share this idea?
Yeah. But if I can choose, which I can, to give my kids a poor background, a tough background, or an easy one, which I can, I choose the latter.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. But I see your point. But it's also a lot of victims of it. It's easy as a winner in life to stand and say that. But it's a lot of victims also who caved in.
Yeah.
Because it was too much for them. So yeah. So it's easy as a success, if you're a success, to say things like that. I rather not having my kids in an environment I grew up. I rather have the have now.
Better, yeah. As
So,
everyone
yeah.
would wish.
Yeah, but
children
on the
better.
other hand, maybe it's true to some extent. If you go through hardship, it's then you learn qualities which is hard to earn otherwise, maybe. But on the other hand, there are other qualities which you maybe earn in a easier environment also. So I think maybe it's good with different people with different backgrounds gathered to do together.
But sorry,
But I think that maybe also the reason that you said that a lot of young people don't like to work hard nowadays is because maybe we have more comfortable life than some generations ago, when you really didn't have much and you really needed to work hard, and a lot of people needed to work hard to go through the life.
Yeah, but I think you and me have different backgrounds. I think it was so like where you are. But I come from Sweden. We have had wealth since 1950s. So we come from different backgrounds. I've been the chairman of the largest life insurance group in the Baltic countries. So I see the huge difference in how you view the system coming from the former Soviet states and coming from Sweden, which Sweden is an extreme, country when it comes to social security networks and stuff. And for instance, and the just longevity, when I was the CEO of the life insurance group of SEB, I think the difference in longevity between Lithuania and Sweden was like 15 years. And if you,
It's a lot.
and then you don't trust the system because you used to that you be screwed around by the system. And in Sweden, we trust the system. You saw that by COVID, by the way. We didn't need to lock in people. Sweden had these directions that you should keep distance and stuff, and we did it. So Swedes listened to the state. And we were actually, aftermath, we were the most successful country in Europe, at least, when it comes to at least over mortality during the years of COVID, which everybody thought we were crazy, but
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But actually, we were the ones with the lowest mortality over this period of time. So Sweden is a very special country, and you're coming from the other opposite. So we view the history different, because when I was born, just after the T-Ford was invented, in the 72. I was born 72. So then Sweden was the fourth richest country in the world, actually, GDP per capita. When my daughter was born at 2004, we were the 11th richest country in the world, and now we're the 17th richest country in the world. So we're falling. And I think we are falling because people become less prone to work hard. And less, the society become less focused on competitiveness. And I think I want to do whatever I can to help that with starting companies and create these companies. I can do a little small part of it, but I think we need to do much more of that. So I think we Swedes have to start work much harder than we do today. And that's just what I think. I think our productivity is going south.
I've just heard this longevity gap between Sweden and Lithuania. You mentioned 15 years. I just can't get my head around, but it reminds me of this. It was
like 67 and 82. So.
Yeah, but it reminds me of the fact that hard times create kind of successful people, and easy times create weak people. So it was maybe for too long too satisfied. That's why also this gap in the the neighboring Baltics maybe has shrunken so much.
Yeah, but on the other hand, there is a lot of indication that the social security networks we have makes people to actually to take risks. Some people say that why it's a lot of tech companies coming from Sweden is because everybody is schooled in a decent way, at least, and we have this network, so people are not afraid to take risks. I hear that too. I don't know what's true, but I hear that too. So it's, I guess, both. But what I just can witness, even if we are a success when it comes to tech companies in Sweden, we are falling in the welfare, in the GDP per capita rankings in the world. That's and that's not good. So I think we have a too positive self-image up in Sweden of our competitiveness, because we have some successes like Spotify and all of this Klarna and stuff. We tend to forget that we're actually losing out in rankings. And we hate on US, but they are winning. So what can we say?
And more or less copy paste, because I'm from Germany and we have similar conversations at the moment.
The GDP, the factory GDP, production, the industry production in Germany hasn't grown for 15 years. You know that? Germany has stagnated totally, and that's the problem of Europe. That Germany is not growing because it's too little investments, and the digitalization is very, very slow in Germany. So that's the biggest problem we have, all of us in Europe, that has the case. Now, hopefully, when we all be forced in Europe to invest in our own safety and stuff, maybe we can get the engine of Germany, back on track again. I hope.
I will take notes.
I hope so.
And pass it on to them.
I hope so, because I think Germany and supported by Poland is actually a very, very good example in Europe, how they have become very, very successful and competitive and digitalized. So I think I'm very positive for Poland for the next.
Actually,
10
people
years.
are moving back to Poland. 20 years ago, there was a kind of a Polish diaspora everywhere.
Yes. So I think Poland will be driving a lot of the growth now, especially when hopefully we get this peace in Ukraine and we're going to rebuild Ukraine to a European state. I think Poland is very, very well situated there because it's technologies, and there are a lot of people, and they are doing great. And they are closest neighbor to Ukraine. So I think Poland is the place to invest in.
You just mentioned that you're working now on creating value to the society.
Through these technologies, yes.
Yeah, so could you tell us more about this idea of?
No, what I think is my what I can do for society. I'm not an author. I can't write music, but what I can do is I can build business models, which I think is beautiful.
Be creative in that.
Yes, that's what I do, and I think we are building some fantastic companies who are increasing productivity in many sectors, and creating a lot of wealth, and I think that's what I can do for society and should do. I should use every awaked second to do that if I want to do something good for humanity, to be part of this value creation wave and create these companies on these technologies which the human race has actually created.
Do you know any formula that can make business successful?
I think the formula is that you have to have a general idea what value to create. You have to watch the competition, try to disrupt it, think differently, walk your own way, and then start applying your actions to it. Prepare to fail and learn, do it again, fail and learn and do it again. Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Failing fast, or as you said before, sucking fast. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then do that. And if you do that over a long period of time and just learn, then you will be successful. It's like 100% certainty of it. Yeah. And then a long time is not 2 years. A long time is like 20 years. I think a good company, for instance, is not built under 5 years, maybe 10.
Yeah,
you can have success, you can sell something and cash home, but a real company, it takes time to build a real company, even with these technologies today. So I think you have to be much more patient than most people are. And that is very hard work for a very long period of time to be successful. That's what I think.
I also heard that a lot of financially successful people, they say that they are lacking purpose in their life, because once you kind of can afford everything, money cannot make you happy anymore, and people don't know how to move further and what to do. What would be your advice to people who know?
People do whatever they want to do, but I think for me, my purpose will never stop ending. My purpose is to create, safety for my kids and their kids and over generations. So I'm building kind of a safety for my, I protect, I protect my family and I protect my kids, and I building stuff which they can have as the safety net for my family for the generation. So my purpose is there. I've always been that, and it's still there and will be until I die.
Yeah.
That's my purpose. So I think people think like that, have seen money as the purpose. I never done that. I want to build independence for me, myself, and my family. That's what I'm doing. I'm building independence from that I have to, obey different things or be in a certain way. So I build independence, and my kids will have the right to be whoever they are.
In 20 years in banking, if there's one thing I've learned, it's just what you just mentioned, that it's not about amassing hoards of money. It's truly ensuring independence for oneself, for families, etc.
Yeah, whoever you. But then it becomes more and more people are dependent on you. So you like it's in the companies, and you want to so it's just growing. The protect part just growing. But that's my purpose in life, I guess.
Right. I have another interesting question. Could you share with us your biggest flop?
Yeah.
Are there any?
Yeah, but this is also one of the key points. People ask me that, and the answer is, I don't think in those terms. Nelson Mandela said, "I never lose, either I win or I learn." I think that is a good quote, and I don't do that just deliberately. It's just the way I am. I could have failed many times, but because I kept on moving, kept on trying, kept on changing, adopting to reality, and doing that over many years, then I could stand there and say I'm a victory. This is a victory. It's actually been a failure many times, but I don't see it as failures, because it's not until I stop I'm defined if I was a loser or a winner. And since I don't stop until I get there, I never fail. But I've done many mistakes in my life, of course. I took a lot of decisions who are wrong. But then you have to be able to, as I said, learn, and
stand up and go.
Yeah, and move on, pivot, and try to do it in different way, try to learn what's made wrong, and then keep on doing it. And then over time, you usually succeed. Sometimes maybe you just have to stop because it's just a dead end. But for me in my life so far, I never embarked a journey which I couldn't complete in a way which I think at least is a success. But many mistakes, I've done many mistakes.
But what are 3 major lessons you learned in your life?
3 lessons. Yeah, maybe the older you get, the less kind of black and white everything becomes. That's a major learning, which is a nice lesson to learn. That you can see see the world from different angles, and usually people are not stupid and wrong. They just see it from a different perspective. That's, I think, is a nice learning. And then I think that the world is not just in many ways, but if you actually work hard over a long period of time in a meaningful direction, it tends to, luck and unluck tends to equalize, and you get what you deserve, basically. With, of course, exceptions to that, but very often it is like.
And the third one?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. What I think is, what I thought when I was starting my career, or before I started a career, I thought to be successful, you just have to be successful on somebody else's expense. That is not true.
Mm.
If you create things together, everybody wins.
So this is more conscious capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. Because it should be sustainable, and for me, sustainable is high returns for a long period of time. And to do that, you can't be short-sighted, and you can't kind of win on somebody else's expense. Then you have to create real value somehow.
Yeah.
And then it's a win-win situation that everybody around you win. And that is I learned it very fast actually, but that is nice because I didn't think so. When you hear stories about successful, you have these archetypes about how to be, but those are not true. Those are simply not true.
Well, thank you so much. I don't have questions anymore. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.